Hey guys, welcome back to the Haddonfield Registry. Real quick video today, non-scripted. I'm just reacting to your slasher hot takes. It was the community post I posted about a day and a half ago. Like I said, unscripted. I'm not really cleaning up the audio. I might literally get rid of some of the background noise and echo and whatever. I live in an apartment with high ceilings, so there's a little bit of echo. And like I said, this is unscripted. I'm literally just reading your hot takes and rating them 1 out of 5. Some of these aren't really hot takes. Some of these I think are just objective fact, but we're going to get into it now. I'm going from the first comment to the most recent comment. And thank you for everyone who replied. Our first one is from someone named Zara Gozrex. Hope I said that right. The slasher genre is unironically a good way to study how films are made. If the movie has a behind-the-scenes featurette on the DVD or Blu-ray, watch it and you're bound to learn something. I don't know if that counts as a hot take. That's kind of just true about all movies in general. You can see here, I agreed with him 100%. My brother bought me, one of my first movies I ever owned myself was a copy, the DVD Platinum Collection, Freddy vs. Jason, the 2-disc set. My brother bought me that back in 2004 at like a Blockbuster Video or an FYE or something. I just remember devouring those bonus materials. And like I say here in the comment, I don't know why this stuck out in my mind, but if you listen to the director's commentary for Ghostbusters, I believe it's on the Blu-ray one. I don't know if it's the same commentary across all of them, but that's my cat. From what I remember, like at the very end of the movie when they're rushing to the hotel, the building, and all the street is like breaking apart. Of course, that's a miniature set, but of course you don't know it because it's done so well. And one of the ways that they convince you that it's a real miniature set is when the fire hydrants and like the water pipes are bursting. That's not water flowing up. Like that's not real water flowing up. It's sand because fluid dynamics, water doesn't work that way at a small scale like that, so they had to use sand. I don't know, just little tricks like that are like amazing. And for the bonus material on the Freddy vs. Jason disc, I had never even heard of development hell, let alone getting a crash course on what that means. Like Freddy vs. Jason is one of the most prolific cases of a film being in development hell but still being made, so it's like it's invaluable material. So I mean, this may be a hot take, I don't know. I 100% agree with this guy or girl. I'm sorry, real quick. I forgot I'm supposed to be rating these hot takes. So for the first one, I'm gonna say 3 out of 5. Like, I don't believe that's a hot take. I believe that's just like an objective fact, but it's a good fact. So I'm 3 out of 5. Next one is from Batwing20293. Says the original Friday the 13th is boring. I'm sorry, but the series really doesn't hit its stride until 2 to 4. 6, in their opinion, being the best. So for Batwing's comment, he gave a couple hot takes. I'm just gonna kind of rate each one. For the original Friday the 13th being boring, I highly disagree. I know it's slower. I know it's much more atmospheric. I know the characters are a little bit more... The characters are more boring because they have less to work with. Victor Miller is like not the greatest writer around. Honestly, as much as I dislike Sean Cunningham and like Victor Miller for their different approaches to the franchise, Sean Cunningham is what made that first movie so good. In the same way that anyone who says the original Friday the 13th is boring, I completely disagree with. It's the same as anytime I see someone say the original Halloween is boring. It's like, just because there's not a lot of blood and guts. I mean, there is a lot of blood and guts in the first Friday, but I don't know. It's the atmosphere. It's the dread. Like that scene where Marcy tells Jack about her nightmare. I don't know. The whole movie, it's just so cozy for me. I love it. It's not one of the first ones I ever saw. This is not a nostalgia thing. I did not watch the original Friday the 13th until 6 years ago. Like, I really did avoid it for a long time, and I really wish I hadn't, because it's probably, in my opinion, it is the objectively best made Friday the 13th movie, outside of maybe Part 6, the remake, and Freddy vs. Jason, where they actually started having real money and talent put into it. So for that one, I'm going to say 1 out of 5. I do not agree with that at all. But it is very spicy, as I told them. Every non-Wes Craven scream feels off. It loses its sharpness, if that makes sense. I agree and I don't agree. Like, every non-Wes Craven scream has felt off. I definitely agree with that. And I definitely agree that they've lost their sharpness, but I can tell they're saying in a way where, like, oh, they're not good. Or that's what I'm assuming. I think my favorite ones so far have been 4, 5, and 6. So one of them's a Wes Craven one, but that's pretty spicy. I'm gonna go with 4 out of 5. They say Halloween Kills isn't the worst Halloween, it's just the most mindless one. For the first part of that, I definitely agree. It's not the worst Halloween. I honestly, no, I do. I kind of agree. It's the most mindless one. Like, it has a lot of little weird things, like Ghost Michael in the window and the whole what does he see in his reflection. And I like those things, but it's very obvious that they're taking John Carpenter's illusion of depth storytelling approach. Like, they don't really have anything to say about that. It's just to make you think, even though there's nothing really there of substance. So, yeah, it's mindless, but maybe not in the bad way that I think they might have meant. I like Halloween Kills a lot, but I may just be I don't want to misrepresent anyone, so I'm trying not to assume when someone is saying like a movie's bad or not. But in terms of this hot take, this one specifically, I'm gonna say 2 out of 5 because I do feel like most people like Halloween Kills now, especially after Halloween Ends came out and really divided the fan base. And the last one they give is that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake is as good, if not better, than the original. I'm going to say 4 out of 5 on that one. That's pretty spicy just because it's definitely good. I don't know if I would say better than the original, but I know a lot of people do think that. I'm not trying to be a purist. I'm not trying to be someone who's like, oh, the original is the best simply because it's the original, because I don't think the original Nightmare on Elm Street is the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I definitely, the original Scream is like the worst. Scream 3 is the worst Scream, but the original movie is not that good. It's Scream 2 that really set it on the map for me. Next comment comes from Honors Place 3291. Really, really creepy profile picture, I gotta say. They say Wes Craven's New Nightmare is a bog to sit through. Its meta bits and format are not written well enough to make the movie palatable. That's pretty spicy. I'm going to say 5 out of 5 because honestly, I've been alive for 30 years. I don't think I've ever seen anyone say Wes Craven's New Nightmare is a bog to sit through. I'm going to say that's a 5 out of 5 hot take. I do not agree. I agree to an extent. I think New Nightmare needed maybe another half a year of writing on the script. Like, when you look at the original script, you can see like they definitely were going too far with like Wes Craven like cutting off his eyelids and living in that van. Where they took it was a much better approach, but I don't know. I do agree that it felt a little underbaked. Honestly, the thing about New Nightmare that really elevates it is how much of it is like another Nightmare movie. Like the fact that it's Nancy again, the fact that the effects are really good, the fact that the kills are really bloody, the fact that Freddy is really dark, even though it's not technically Freddy. When you really get down to it, it's kind of good in spite of those meta bits, the meta narrative. I do kind of agree with that. I do think it's a little underbaked, but I don't think it's a bog to sit through. It's one of my favorite Nightmare movies. 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5, somewhere, but 4.5 out of 5. Next comment comes from the Trash Pit, longtime viewer. I get nothing out of the Terrifier movies. I'm glad we have a horror icon that's resonating, but on the same token, I'm just bored by it once the initial shock of the extreme gore has worn off. I don't know, like, I agree with that 100%. I like Art the Clown. I really like Damien Leone. I say this all the time, but we follow each other on Twitter. Like, I'm very supportive of him as an artist. I'm very supportive of him being able to make what he wants to make uncensored. I do not believe in censorship of art. I do not believe in censorship in general. More than anything, in horror movies, censorship is like the biggest boogeyman you can have when making a horror movie, essentially. So, I guess 3 out of 5. Like, I don't know if that counts as a hot take because that's just genuinely what I believe. I do not think the Terrifier movies are that good. I know everyone's like, oh, well, two's the really good one. That's where it gets good. And I'm like, no, it's like 2.5 hours of slop. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of people are going to hate this. I love Art the Clown. I love Damien Leone. I do not like the Terrifier movies one bit. And I'm going to say 3 out of 5 because I really don't know what to give this one. I agree with it completely. I'm not even sure if it's a hot take at this point. Next one comes from Public Crown 2382. They said, they have a couple. Jason Goes to Hell is one of my favorite Friday films. It was a wonderfully weird direction to take things, and I think the series benefited from it. I dig all the lore additions and brutal death scenes, especially the unrated cut. The 2009 film is my least favorite Friday film. For this first one, I'm going to say that's a very spicy 5 out of 5. Most people do not like Jason Goes to Hell, and for good reason. Like, on paper, I 100% understand why people don't like it, in the same way I understand why people don't like Halloween Ends, or, Nightmare 2. I even understand why people don't like more widely loved films. Like, I do understand why some people say the first Friday movie is boring, even though I disagree, but I understand where they're coming from. I understand where Public Crown is coming from too here. I love the weird direction Jason Goes to Hell takes. I've said it before, but Jason Goes to Hell was probably the most visually beautiful and well-made Friday up until Freddy versus Jason. I mean, because it's so stylized. Maybe if you're a person who prefers much more natural landscapes, the first movie and the first, for 1 and 2, maybe 4, maybe 6, a little bit of 5, but like by the time of Jason Goes to Hell, they had already been in the woods so many times. It's like, how many different ways can you make the woods look interesting? So my go-to for Jason Goes to Hell when I want to talk to people about, like, have you ever looked at it? Have you ever seen it with your eyes, like the colors and stuff? My go-to is always the diner scene where it like turns into a John Woo movie like halfway through. I love Jason Goes to Hell. I think it's weird. I think it's a fun little movie. I think in a part 9, you have to take some risks. It's kind of the same reason I like Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, and even Halloween 2018. Like, I know I make fun of it for being a back to basics Halloween movie, but I mean, it definitely did way more than Halloween 20 or Halloween 4 in terms of trying new things. Like, for starters, it gave Michael a personality without giving him any motivation or a clear insight into who he is. Before then, it was seen as an impossible thing to even do, and David Gordon Green and McBride did it perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that's a spicy 5 out of 5 hot take. The 2009 film being his least favorite, or their least favorite, I mostly agree. It's probably the one I watched the least. I grew up throughout the 2009s. Like, I have a Friday the 13th ranking video I'm gonna be putting out soon, and in it I kind of go over this. But I was the cringy Bieber cut kind of guy with long sleeve shirts under my short sleeve shirts. So like, I don't want to remember 2009. That movie has aged so poorly. It's such a time capsule, and it's funny for all the wrong reasons. Like, your tits are stupendous is not a good line, and it's not a good scene. It's funny because of how fucking bad it is. So yeah, 5 out of 5, and I agree with it. The next thing they say is Halloween 5 is one of the most artistic slasher films produced, with its dope fairy tale fantasy aesthetic. That's a 5 out of 5. That's very spicy. No one's going to agree with you except me, because I love Halloween 5. I think it's crazy artistic. I mean, if anyone who's watched the 11th Hour, the specific episode where I cover Halloween 5, I've been very upfront. I don't like that they changed the Myers house. I think that's a dumb decision. But on its own, oh my god, that movie is gorgeous. And I don't know if you ever noticed this. I'm going to drop this right now. But like, in so many of the windows, the boards, the 2x4s boarding it up, most of them are made to resemble the thorn symbol. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that. Like, so much went into the thought of the production design without any reason for why it was there. It's so heartbreaking. Like, had they just tried, had they just had another year in the oven, I think Halloween 5 would be remembered as one of the greatest Halloween sequels. And maybe if Dominic Othen and Gerard didn't fuck with the mask so much. And their last part, Scream 6 is the best Scream. 3 out of 5, spiciness. I mean, I know the newer movies have their own audience. Honestly, the newer movies are more popular than the older movies were. Like, I'm old enough to remember what, like, Scream 2 and 3 were, well, maybe not Scream 2, but I'm old enough to remember the marketing cycles for Scream 3, 4, 5, and 6, and the receptions to 5 and 6, the reception going into 5 was not the biggest, but the reception afterwards and going into 6, and then especially the fallout with Melissa Barrera being fired for speaking out against genocide, the reception around that was the biggest I've ever seen for a slasher movie outside of Halloween 2018's crazy momentum. So I know other people will not say that they're the best Scream, that 5 and 6 are the best Scream movies, but I genuinely believe that they're definitely the most popular ones. But for my money, Scream TV, seasons 1 and 2, best Scream, like, hands down. Maybe this is going to be real blasphemous to say, but, like, the show, those first 2 seasons, and the movie, the TV special, infinitely better than any of the movies, just bar none. Next, we have Willie Greer. They said, Halloween Ends is almost a really good movie, especially if you cut out kills, which went nowhere story-wise, and was just a bunch of people making dumb decisions and getting offed. I'm going to say that's a 4 out of 5, just because Halloween Ends is pretty divisive. I know a lot of people are like, you either love it or hate it. I do see that there's a lot more nuance these days regarding it. I do see a lot more people being like, yeah, I appreciate what they did, even if I don't like it. And I see a lot more people saying, yeah, I like it, but I wish they had done this differently. So I can tell that the opinions are middling out on it. They're mellowing out on it. I believe Halloween Ends is a great movie. I honestly believe it is the best of the Halloween trilogy. It may not be like the most entertaining per se. I think Halloween Kills is the most fun, and then Halloween 2018 is the scarier one of the three. But Halloween Ends combines like the really beautiful cinematography of Halloween 2018 and the really immersive lived-in world that they created in Halloween Kills. The one thing I hate about Halloween Ends is the ending. I really wish they had just committed to either keeping Corey alive and let him go on to slash another day. Not that they had to make a sequel to it, but just to leave that open-ended like the original film. I really don't like the end of the movie being a fight between Laurie and Michael, even though it is a pretty cool fight. But honestly, though, in my opinion, Halloween Ends does not work unless you have Halloween Kills, because Halloween Ends acts like a end cap to the whole franchise. And I know people give Kills flack for the whole, like, oh, he only killed 4 people in 1978. How is the whole town, like, haunted by this? But, like, maybe that's a bit of a stretch to believe. I have no problem believing that. A family will lose one family member to a violent death, and they'll spend the entire rest of their life looking for who the murderer was. So for 4 whole people to be murdered in a small town by a crazy guy, yeah, of course that's going to live on in their memories for 40 years. I really don't see how people see it that way, but I don't know. The next comment is from SkyPeak1915. I hope I said that right. I'm not really sure. I know you're a frequent commenter, so if I did get this wrong, definitely let me know. I apologize. And they said, I don't even know if this is a hot take, but Child's Play has the most consistent movie quality of all horror franchises. I'm going to say that's a 4 out of 5, just because Child's Play has, like, Seed of Chucky and Child's Play 3 and the TV show, which is really, really hit or miss. And then I don't know if they're considering the remake, but if I were to be talking about that Child's Play franchise, I would be bringing up the remake too. So I definitely don't think people are going to agree. I mean, they have 8 upvotes. It's like the most upvoted comment here. So clearly my audience definitely agrees with this. They may not see it as a hot take. I see it as a little bit of a hot take, even though I agree with it, just because I spent so much of my life defending Child's Play 3, which is my second favorite of the original movies. I like all 3 of the original movies, but the first movie and the third movie are my 2 favorites. I kind of skip 2 a lot. I don't really know why. Like, I like 2, but it's just I prefer Andy as a teenager. Like, Child's Play 3 is, like, really tragic. Like, the ending is so sad, where Andy's like, don't worry, De Silva, I've been through this before. Like, that's heartbreaking. And Chucky at a military school, I don't know. I really like Child's Play 3. So I don't agree that it's the most consistent. If I had to give an opinion, I would say Scream is the most consistent, because Scream 3 is the only one of the Scream movies I would consider a bad movie. And Scream Resurrection, the rebooted season of the show, was ass. So, like, it's like 2 entries out of 9, you know what I mean? The new movie is also going to be ass. Everyone knows that. So maybe once that new movie comes out, Scream will no longer be the most consistent. But I don't know. The next comment comes from David Leaks Hadge. They said, Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, is actually a good movie. I'm going to say that's a 4 out of 5 spiciness. I don't think it's a good movie. Like, I don't think it's well made. I don't think it's, like, well written. I think it's good in spite of those things. It's very entertaining. It definitely has my favorite Tommy of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy. I love Tom Matthews. I love Corey Feldman, but John Shepard's Tommy, especially when you learn that John Shepard went out and, like, researched people with PTSD and, like, people who've been through these traumatic things, not knowing it was a Friday movie. Like, that boy put in work, and it really does show. I'm going to say 4 out of 5. People will not agree with that. I don't technically agree with that, but I agree that I like it a lot. Next one is Hambroski Official. They said, Jason X is overhated, and that movie is a certified hood classic, and it is so better than the first one. I'm going to say 3 out of 5 because Jason X has hit a huge reevaluation in these past 10 years. Like, when I was growing up, Jason, it was such a fucking meme. Like, I loved Jason X because the first Friday the 13th movie I ever saw was The New Blood, and then I literally watched the entire half of the franchise, like, in sequential order. I watched New Blood, and then Jason Takes Manhattan, and then Jason Goes to Hell, and then Jason X. I'd seen Freddy vs. Jason. That was technically the first one I saw. I saw that before I knew what slasher movies were, and that was my gateway into this world. I agree Jason X is overhated. I agree it's a certified hood classic. But in that same vein, bro, so is Halloween Resurrection. Like, Halloween Resurrection is going to get its reevaluation the same way Jason X did. It is so bad that it's good. The fact that they use like those shitty stock sound effects for like the door creaking and stuff, it's so good. I love that movie. And the production design is great. Like the Myers house is like, they built it like twice the size so that they could fit all the people inside. But I mean, it's beautiful. It's perfect. I do not agree with you that Jason X is better than the first movie. I think the first Friday the 13th objectively is like the second or third best Friday the 13th movie. But I do agree it is overhated. It's a certified hood classic. Definitely agree with that. I'm going to say that's a 3 out of 5 spiciness. And then they said their second one is Season of the Witch is more entertaining than Halloween 2. I'm going to say that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness because Season of the Witch sucks ass. I'm going to get so much flack for this. I really appreciate Season of the Witch. I love Tom Atkins, even though he is not a stud. I love that they got the most like creepy uncle looking guy ever to be the guy that's like going out with this girl. But, I don't think Season of the Witch is very good, and it's definitely not more entertaining than Halloween 2. But that is just my opinion. The next one comes from Frogert Creme Brulee 5252, also a frequent watcher. If I call out someone here if I mention that I recognize someone here, but I don't recognize someone else, but you know that you've been commenting, please don't take it personally. I'm not a huge YouTuber, but my Under the Lake series really blew up, and so I've had tons and tons of comments. So I do try my hardest to remember every single person that's commenting, especially like my day oneers, but just please don't take that personally. But they said Scream is my least favorite slasher film. I like some of the sequels better than the OG, but Scream 1 is super annoying and is only really there for film bros, same as Scream 2. I also can't stand Randy as a character. He ruins the film for me. I'm going to say that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness. Only one other person upvoted them other than me. Definitely going to say that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness. Scream is, if they mean their least favorite slasher film, that's pretty spicy. It's my least favorite slasher franchise just because it's such a one-note trick. Like, it's Scream should have ended with Scream 2. And okay, here's the thing. Anytime people are like, oh, this franchise should have ended with this movie, I'm always like, that's such a stupid thing. I love the free market. I love capitalism. I love money. I definitely believe that if you want to make a fucking movie franchise and you want to pump out 20 of them, by all means do that. As long as there are people there watching, by all means. When I say Scream should have ended with Scream 2, what I kind of mean is Scream should have chosen to evolve after Scream 2, because it's a human killer, it's a person in a mask, it's really not that interesting. It's kind of a meme now, like where people are like, I wonder who the killer is. It doesn't fucking matter because they've already done, no, and unless the killer himself is like fucking President Donald Trump in this next movie, the twist does not matter. Like, you've already done the twist. It's imagine every fucking Star Wars movie came out, you found out that another character was related to Luke. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's that level of, like, you've already done this. Stop doing the same thing over and over and over. You need to evolve. I think Scream is so fucking boring. That's why I like the TV show so much, because they really tried new stuff. Like, they gave a new backstory to the mask. They gave a backstory to the mask. Like, and I know people don't like the mask, but I think the mask is fucking horrifying. It's like, whatever. I'm not going to get into the Scream TV show, but I definitely agree. Scream is my least favorite slasher franchise. The sequels are definitely better than the first movie. I don't know that I would agree Scream 1 and Scream 2 are just there for the film bros. I think Scream 2 and 3 are just there for the film bros, especially Randy. I hate Randy as a character. I do not like Jamie Kennedy. I think he's ridiculous. He's so fucking annoying. I like him in the first movie at opposite of Matthew Lillard because they play off of each other. That's why in the second movie, he's way more straight and way much more of a straight man because he's not funny on his own. Like, he's not a comedian. But Scream 2 and 3 are definitely film bro movies, especially Scream 3. Like, Wes Craven really thought it was, like, super cute the way that they handled the movie stuff and putting Jay and Silent Bob in there. Like, he was like, oh, the fans are going to love this. Scream 3 sucks ass. Scream 2 is okay. I'm gonna say that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness. Fuck it. Next, we have Lavender317. They said, Freddy vs. Jason is one of the best movies of both series. Instantly, objectively, that's correct. I'm not hearing any arguments about this. Freddy vs. Jason is pretty much as good as you could have ever made a horror crossover. It's better than Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. It's better than Kayako vs. Sadako. It's better than Godzilla versus King Kong. Like, I do not want to hear this. Freddy vs. Jason is the peak of horror crossovers. They said the slashers are portrayed much better than the people give them credit for. The kills are pretty good. Most of all, it's fun all the way through. 10 out of 10, I agree with that completely. One of the big criticisms I see is how bland and stereotypical the main cast are, and while that's true, that's the point, and that's exactly right. Shannon and Swift very specifically made the characters archetypes from both the Friday movies and the Nightmare movies. So you've got like Freeberg, who's a Friday fucking character, who's like, yeah, I don't give a shit about anything. I just want to smoke. I just want to have sex. I just want to do whatever. And then you've got like Laurie and Will, who are like, we got to do something about this. So like the biggest problem that people have with those characters is that they're boring, and it's kind of made worse by the fact that the studio went out of their way to hire established, well-known actors. I feel like that's why you notice how boring they are. If they were a bunch of unknowns, I really don't think people would even care. Like Chris Marquette as Linderman, probably the least known person of the cast, and of course the individual who plays Freeberg, I don't remember their name, the guy who was in Halloween Resurrection. Those two are like the best remembered characters, and they're the least well-known actors of that movie. I don't think that's a coincidence of the main teen group. As a celebration of both movies, they have characters that fit right into archetypes that slasher movies are famous for creating in the first place, and it's fun to see them getting killed off, which is definitely true. Like Gibbs' death is pretty sad. The bed folding death is fucking great. It's such an amazing first kill. Even Mark's death, the only kill that Freddy actually gets in the whole movie, is pretty good, even if it's like kind of the worst Nightmare on Elm Street kill ever, because it's really unimaginative. They really saved all the nightmare juice for Jason's nightmares. I think that was a mistake. I will say that. I think Kia and Linderman should have both been killed by Freddy, in my opinion. I really think messing with Kia's desire to get elective surgery, and then Linderman for being really insecure. I don't know. I feel like that was a really big missed opportunity. Freddy should have had at least 2 more kills in that movie. So, I don't know. I'm going to rate that a 3 out of 5. I know Freddy vs. Jason doesn't get as much love today as it used to back in the day, but I still think it's definitely one of the best films of either franchise. And their second comment was echoing the earlier sentiment about New Nightmare being one of their least favorite movies, and they don't understand the praise it gets. I'm going to say that's a 5 out of 5 because that's crazy. I love New Nightmare. I don't think it's like amazing, but I love that movie. Next, we have Dan's the Man. They said, all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies suck, or at the very best are mid. The only redeeming quality is Freddy himself. The same can be said about the Friday the 13th movies, but those movies suck even more. The only good thing to come out of each franchise is Freddy vs. Jason. The Child's Play franchise is carried heavily by Child's Play 2 and The Bride of Chucky. Also, Cujo is a better slasher icon than Art the Clown. All right, that last one, very out of pocket. I agree in the sense that I think Cujo is a better movie and a better character and is just a good movie. Terrifier is not a good movie. And, I mean, if you ask for my opinion, I would prefer to see Cujo sitting next to Jason and Freddy versus Art the Clown, but Cujo's not really a slasher. I don't know. For the first one, I don't think all the Nightmare movies suck. I don't think all the Friday movies suck. So I'm going to say that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness, because even in most horror circles, I think most people would say at least the first Nightmare, Nightmare 3, maybe Nightmare 4. A lot of people are going to say those are good movies, especially New Nightmare 2. And then people are going to say Friday 1, maybe Friday 2, Friday 6. And then maybe Freddy vs. Jason, and maybe the remake. A lot of people will say those are good movies too. So I'm gonna say that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness. I don't agree with that, but I think that's spicy. And Child's Play franchise being heavily carried by 2 and Bride of Chucky. Oh yeah, I mean that's just objectively true. Like, you can kind of see where the TV show started going wrong, because they were just really relying on the nostalgia of Tiffany, Kyle, and Andy, and it's like, I like that. And don't get me wrong, Andy Barkley, best final boy, like bar none. The fact that he's continued to stay, the fact that he was like, he came back, he kicked ass, he continued to kick ass, he's a fucking hero. I mean, move over Tommy Jarvis, Andy Barkley. He's our short king, and he needs to be protected at all costs. But I do agree with that opinion. I'm going to say that's a 3 out of 5 spiciness. Next comes from my man Puss in Boots, Squishy246. They said Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is one of the best in the franchise. That's a 5 out of 5 spiciness. That might even be a 6 out of 5 spiciness, because even Halloween 2 fans typically won't tell you it's the best in the franchise. But I'm going to say it's one of the best in the franchise. I mean, I don't know. You really have to look at it in terms of the first Halloween movie is one of the best movies ever. Like, it's just a very genuinely good, well-made movie. It's crazy to think John Carpenter was 31. He was only a year older than me when he made Halloween. That's insane. He's one of the youngest, like, heavy-hitting directors of that time, like, hustling his way into Hollywood with, like, films like Dark Star and stuff. So when you really look at it, there's like nothing you can really do to compete with that original movie, especially because you're gonna have to stick to the formula. Like, you just can't outdo that first movie. And I think Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is one of the best ways to handle that. Like, I'll be honest, objectively, I don't think it's a great movie. I think there's a lot wrong with it. I don't think the writing is particularly good. It's the symbolism, it's the themes, it's the cinematography, it's the score especially, and it's the performances from Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor Compton. All of that, and of course Brad Dourif, Tyler Mane, they all really do elevate that movie. It feels to me like it's really good in spite of those things. I'm gonna say that's a 6 out of 5 spiciness, but I'm also gonna say that it's not wrong either. It's one of the better ones, if only because it helped evolve the franchise. Like, there's no way that the Halloween trilogy would have pulled off as much as they did, especially with the hyper-realistic gore, if Rob Zombie didn't come in and blow the fucking roof off the franchise like a decade before. Next, we have Thomas Boy 2110. They said, I like Tom Matthews' Tommy Jarvis, but I honestly prefer Part 5 Tommy. I think that would be a more realistic take on how he'd be after the events of Part 4 than Part 6 acted. This is just objectively true. Like I've said elsewhere, John Shepherd studied for that role. He took it upon himself to go and visit other people who had dealt with traumatic experiences like that. Every little bit about his performance is believable. It's good. It's genuinely one of the best slasher Final Boy performances I've ever seen. I agree with that, but I'm going to say it's a 4 out of 5 spiciness because Tom Matthews' Tommy Jarvis is obviously the de facto that most people choose. It's like the most well-known one. I mean, it was in the video game. I mean, even when I have written like fan fiction slasherverse type stories, Tom Matthews' Tommy Jarvis is the one that I'm like sort of adapting. So it is the default, but I do agree that John Shepherd's is better. Next, we have Durageyser 8775. They said, A New Beginning and Jason Goes to Hell are both better than The New Blood and Jason Takes Manhattan. Whew, that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness. I agree that The New Blood is not very good. I like the design for Jason. I do not like the execution of it. His head is bulbous and his hands do that thing where they look like gloves. Like, it's very obvious he's wearing gloves. I don't think it's a very good movie. I don't even think if they had all the kills intact, it would be a good movie. I mean, too many characters exist to just have one line and get killed off, which is like, yeah, it's a slasher movie, but you can try a lot harder than that. Like, the best parts of The New Blood are the parts that directly reference the previous movie and the history. And of course, Tina is like great. Laura Park Lincoln's performance is fucking great. She literally felt like just a genuine Hollywood actress who stepped out of Hollywood to come do this movie. That said, I wouldn't say Jason Goes to Hell is better. I think it's better made, but I think it's less entertaining. I think A New Beginning is definitely not better made, but it's way more entertaining. That said, I really like Jason Takes Manhattan. That's probably my biggest Friday guilty pleasure. I've watched that movie probably the 4th most of any Friday movie. It's one of the first ones I saw, so there's a little bit of nostalgia for it, and I really like Rob Hedden. In all of his interviews, he's very down to earth. He's very aware of, you can't really do the same thing over and over. He was acknowledging that, like, everyone before him was starting to experiment, and I think putting Jason into New York was a great idea, even if it wasn't done very well. I think it's a very smart move. So I'm going to say that's a 4 out of 5 spiciness, and I'm going to say I don't necessarily agree. New Blood is not good. A New Beginning is okay. Jason Goes to Hell is okay. Jason Takes Manhattan is... Honestly, of these 4, I think I like Jason Takes Manhattan more. Next is Justin Houston, 6855. They said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, is the biggest piece of shit I have ever seen in my life. Yeah, I mean... Is that even a hot take? I mean, maybe 3 out of 5 on that one. I mean, genuinely, it's one of the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacres. I know people are like, oh, you're missing the themes, you're missing the point. Oh, it's supposed to be... It's like, no, it's not. It's really not that good. It really misses the point of the original movie. But keep in mind, I'm someone who does not think Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is very good either. I like it on its own, but I do not know how a comedy sequel to the original movie worked. I don't know how people take that movie and think it's like a good movie. I think the first one, and then 3, and then the remakes, and then the most recent requel are the only good Texas Chainsaw Massacres. Like, and even then, I say both remakes. Only the first remake is good. The second one is dog water, but the next generation is also dog water. Next, we have user KK3XG2CB8C. They said the Friday the 13th remake kind of benefited from not having sequels because I don't think there's anything else they could have explored with that version of Jason that we haven't seen before. I also like how mysterious the ending is. I mean, I'm going to say 4 out of 5. One of the biggest sentiments you'll see about the remake is that people are like, oh, I wish it had been followed up. And I had never really thought about it, but I agree wholeheartedly. I actually think, yeah, it does benefit from not having any additional stories. Like, yeah, it kind of does make that film stand out more. The ending is a lot more haunting because there's just no follow-up. What does that mean? Did he live? Is it a hallucination? Honestly, if the original Friday had never had sequels, we would be talking about it in a similar way right now, where it's like, what did that mean? You know, what happened? Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm gonna say 4 out of 5. Next, we have Wrestling with Horror 420. They said if you go head to head, Laurie Strode versus Rachel Carruthers, the latter is a more competent final girl. I'm assuming they're talking about like just taking Laurie from just the first movie and then Rachel from just Halloween 4 and pitting them together. I'm going to say that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness. I don't like Rachel. I don't really like Halloween 4. Honestly, I prefer Halloween 5 and 6 to 4, which is kind of blasphemous to say. I think Halloween 4 is technically the better written of the 3. Like, the script for Halloween 4 is really, really, really good. I think Halloween 4... I genuinely think Dwight Little was the wrong director because that script was butchered from page to screen. The script is scary, Michael is evil, and all Dwight Little thought was, I'm gonna make him try to reach out to Jamie because he's underdeveloped. Like, that's so fucking dumb. I'm gonna say that's a 5 out of 5 spiciness, and I don't know. I mean, Laurie, I genuinely, I just see them pretty much the same. Like, I understand maybe you're referencing like the fact that like Rachel ran him over with the car and used the fire extinguisher on him and saved Jamie, and that she fucking fell from the roof and still survived. Like, if you're talking about like, oh, she persevered through more obstacles, yes, absolutely, sure she did. That's of course more just the nature of films upping the ante as they go on. If you see it that way, I definitely understand. I'm not going to say like you're wrong. I definitely don't agree. I'm going to say that's pretty spicy. I'm going to say I just prefer Laurie Strode. Next we have Jack Hageman 9983, hope I said that right. They said, I never thought Freddy was funny, and I hate pretty much every one of his movies except the first one. He's actually interesting instead of being a gag in the first one. Agree and disagree. I'm gonna say that's a 4 out of 5 spiciness because I think Freddy is really funny, and in fact I think he's funnier when he's being creepy. When in the first movie, in New Nightmare, and even in like Part 5 a little bit, and of course in Freddy vs. Jason, it's just more funny when he's genuinely evil and being like a fucking creep. The whole like, now you're playing with power, that's not funny. It's like comparing like a genuine comedian to like a Marvel movie of like, oh, he's right behind me, isn't it? Like, that's not funny. A joke designed in a factory to hit all these little check marks is just not funny. But there's a dark humor in Freddy saying like, this is God. There's a dark humor to it in him like saying, I've always had a thing for the horrors in this house. Like, it's not funny, but it's funnier than him being like, this is your brain on drugs. Like, that's just not funny. So I agree, I disagree. We'll leave it at that. Next we have Mad Panic Gaming. They said Halloween 3 is the best sequel. Ooh, 5 out of 5 spiciness. I hate Halloween 3. That's going to be something I'm saying a lot here. Okay, let me rephrase. That's ingenuine. I do not hate Halloween 3. I appreciate so much about it. I love the masks. I love Connell Cochran. I love the set designs. I love Tom Atkins. I love the score. Actually, the score is amazing. I forget what the title track is. Pumpkin Chariot, something like that. Like, it's a permanent Spotify it's permanently on my Spotify playlist. Like, I love the score, but it's just, I definitely don't see it as the best sequel. It's the best sequel in terms of capturing the spirit of the original movie, at least until like Halloween 2018 and Halloween Ends came along. But I don't know. That's a 5 out of 5 for me. I don't agree with that. Next, we have Omar Morel, 4420. They said Victor Crowley from Hatchet is a slasher icon that needs more love. Sure, like, I'm going to say that's just a 0 out of 5. All slasher icons honestly need more love that are not inside of, like, the big six. Victor Crowley, I think, is great. I mean, he's very obviously just a Jason pastiche in the same way that, like, Doc Halloran in Behind the Mask is just a Dr. Loomis pastiche. There's literally nothing more to his character than to say, look, this is Dr. Loomis. Do you know what I mean? Victor Crowley is literally just meant to be, hey, look, it's Jason, we're making a Jason movie my way, and I like that. That's perfectly fine. I believe in pastiches. In fact, pastiche writing is one of my favorite things to do. I love the idea of being able to homage someone's literary or filmmaking style. I love that. So I mean, yeah, I agree. I don't even think that's a hot take. I think genuinely all obscure slasher characters need more love. I mean, maybe Victor Crowley is probably not my first go-to if I were to pick someone that needed more love, just because he does have 5 films and, like, comic books, I think. He has no action figures, if I remember correctly. But, I mean, if you're asking who I think needs more love, I'm going to say Harry Wharton. Next, we have Uncle Mimi. They said, CGI/digital effects hurt slasher movies more than they help. Practical effects always look better. 3 elements I always want to see: gallons of fake blood, wet puppets, and squibs. I'm going to say that's like a 1 out of 5. I think most people agree that when CGI is rushed and done poorly, it never looks good. I'm going to disagree that it always hurts more than it helps. Bad CGI hurts. Good CGI, you wouldn't even notice. My biggest example I always go to is years and years ago when Joker 2019 was being released, when the trailers were coming out. I was on Twitter arguing with people because they clearly use CGI in the trailer. Like, the movie has CGI, and people were coming out of the woodworks to be like, no, there's no CGI. I don't see any CGI. Yeah, if you don't see the CGI, that's good. that you cannot, no one exists who can just spot CGI. It's just anyone can spot bad CGI. And what I'm referencing specifically is, like, you have shots where Arthur Fleck is standing in the street and it looks like Gotham goes on for miles. It doesn't. It goes on for about a city block, and then it's just normal city, and they use CGI to turn it into Gotham beyond that. Other instances include when he's going to Arkham Hospital and the name is carved into the side of the building. Well, newsflash, I guarantee you, they did not go and carve Arkham into the side of that building. It is just CGI, very, very basic CGI, and you would never know it's there. A better example would be Freddy vs. Jason. One of the things is, you probably never knew this, but when Laurie is walking around the police station in her nightmare and you see those blood drips falling, that's entirely CG. Like, yes, it's obviously CG once it's hitting the floor and it absorbs, but I've seen the behind the scenes stuff. They tried so hard to get that to look good. They couldn't. Just the drops of blood are CG. If you look at the ending fight, you can see, like, there's so much CG in that movie. Background replacements. Like, every time they're out there on the lake and in the end of the movie, what you're looking at is CG background replacements, because the night was not that dark. They were filming during, like, dusk, because otherwise you can't film purely in night. Like, it's very hard to do, as the people who made the original couple Friday the 13th will tell you. Like, that's very, very hard to do. So if they don't have to do that, they won't. I definitely think bad CG hurts movies, full stop. Like, everyone has seen the Flash baby scene. Everyone knows that rushed CG always looks bad. I'm not going to say practical always looks better, because I've seen horrible practical effects in movies. Like, more than anything, special effects, visual effects, if they're bad, they're bad. If they're done good, they're good. I'm going to say that's a 1 out of 5. Next, we have Frank Unknown, 1985. They said, Hammer's Dracula Has Risen from the Grave should be in the conversation about early slashers or proto-slashers. I've never seen Dracula Has Risen from the Grave. I have heard other people say it should be considered a proto-slasher alongside films like Psycho. I can't attest to that, so I don't even know how to rate this. I guess like a 3 out of 5, just because nobody says that. That must make it a hot take. It's probably a movie I should get around to seeing. I'm going to be honest, I've never seen any of the Hammer movies. I've seen a couple of them, but I don't even remember what they were now. It was something I was watching with friends. But I've never seen any of the Hammer Dracula movies, the Hammer Frankenstein movies, the Hammer Mummy movies. I've never seen them. All right, and lastly, we have Lastly, we have Mason Bates 7959. They said Arachnophobia is one of the scariest thrillomedies ever. This is because I can't bring myself to watch it. not a slasher movie, so I'm going to say that's a 1 out of 5. But they said, I seriously think Jason's design from Jason Goes to Hell is overhated. It's easily one of his most terrifying designs. That's a 5 out of 5 spiciness because I know people hate his design. But I'm going to be honest, I agree. I think the Jason Goes to Hell design is great. I think the lumpy head is kind of dumb, but it does come from Friday Part 2. It's not like it came out of nowhere. And that's why he has little wisps of hair, which is why he has little wisps of hair in Freddy vs. Jason 2. You can see how those things like carry on, and of course why he has hair in Jason X. I'm going to say it's a 5 out of 5 spiciness, and I'm going to say that I agree with it. Yeah, it's very easily overhated. In fact, if you want to see that design done really well, check out Jason vs. Leatherface, where they take that same design, even though he's floating in the lake at the beginning of the story. It's very confusing, and it's non-canon. It does not exist in any of the timelines. It's like kind of its own thing. But if you look at that comic, you can see where that design like really does look good. Honestly, the biggest problem with Jason Goes to Hell is the fact that Kane Hodder is so broad-shouldered, he looks short. Like, put him up next to anyone, you can see his height, but the man is built like a box, which really takes away from the imposing figure, in my opinion. I think that's why Ken Kirzinger and CJ Graham were such good Jasons, because they had that, like, oh my god, you're standing next to, like, The Undertaker. Do you know what I mean? You're not standing next to Brock Lesnar. All right, and that was me rating your slasher hot takes. Thank you so much to everyone who commented. Subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed this. This is just a quick little, I don't know how quick this video is going to be, but this is not a scripted video. This is just something, this is more of a community video. This is just something to engage with you all, something to have fun with. I'll probably do another one of these in like a month. I'm always going to be doing community posts where I get comments and stuff so I can react to them. I really like doing this. I really like engaging with you all. I hope you guys liked. For the Haddonfield Registry, I'm Mr. October. Goodbye.